Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2194. I am your host, Mike Matthews. This show's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I noticed that I scare a lot of people away at the beginning of the show with my singing, and it's not really bringing anybody to the show. In fact, I have a show, a podcast on YouTube, and let me tell you, if you asked, I don't know if you asked or not, but this one show that I recorded had
Mike's Daily Podcast.
over 700 plays. That's a lot, my friend. That's a lot of plays for the show called
Mike's
I think it's
Daily
I forget the name of it.
Podcast.
Something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cafe Anyway. What it is that I think, so over 700 people listened to the podcast I did fairly recently called Locker. And I still don't remember why I called it Locker. But it did get over 700 plays. And when you look at the average amount of time, the length of time that people listened to the podcast, it was for 20 seconds. That, my friend, we have gone past 20 seconds. At this point, we're at a minute and a half. A minute and a half is, you're part of the minute and a half club. Give yourself a high five. So, why people are turning off the podcast after 20 seconds only tells me they don't like the singing, because that's when I start singing. Who needs them? Anyway, Cafe Anyway, that's what I discovered today. I just came back from a brisk walk. I suggest everyone do a brisk walk and then eat a brisket. But a brisk walk was what I did, and it was cool. The clouds had parted. We had rain because of that atmospheric river, and it was raining most of the day, most of the night. I got possibly 4 hours sleep because of all the rain kept waking me up, and my brain kept going, and you know what?
And here's today's podcast picture.
I don't know what I was thinking about, because usually when I have one of these brainstorms during a rainstorm in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, I come up with all these topics that I want to share with you on Mike's Daily Podcast, but I could not. I can't think of a single thing that I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about. What was I thinking? Who cares? The podcast picture today is of a recent view that I had looking out at the sky in Fremont. Doesn't that sound exciting? What an exciting podcast picture. You should see it. Oh, Basil's not in this one. I need to put him in a podcast picture. Oh, we did one with him recently, didn't we? And you look so nice, Basil. The late, great Basil the boxer. Yes. Was episode 2192, the one called Settle, because he was settling down on a couch. And thus we gave him that name for that show with that podcast. That. All right, so some sad news today. A coworker, someone that I work with, his mother-in-law passed away, and it's very sad. Oh, hey, Randall Richmond. Congratulations for a year at cowboysdelight.com. There, I gave you a plug. Randall Richmond, I'm not going to give you a slug because you're a nice guy. I usually give plugs and slugs simultaneously. But that's not what I'm going to do. All right. So what happened was a coworker's mother-in-law passed away. It's very sad. And it was one of those deals where it was a long, drawn-out leaving, you know. Some people say goodbye fast. Some people do a long goodbye. And it puts everyone... The long goodbyes tend to put everybody through quite a journey. Quite a journey. And I know this from what people have told me that they've gone through. Everyone's done it. You probably have as well. And the long goodbyes, the long journeys to goodbye, they're hard. And it's hard to go, what was this good for? What did I learn from this? But we do learn a lot. And, you know, the long goodbyes don't make the saying goodbye any better than the quick goodbyes. You know, you would think all that extra time to say goodbye, it still hurts. It hurts a lot. Anyway, it's something that I'm thinking about today. And that goodbyes are just bad no matter what length they are. The drawn out goodbyes are hard though, and it is a long process that you're going through, and there's a lot of crying involved. I didn't know how much Mike Matthews could cry until he had to go through a long goodbye with someone he dearly loved. So it's part of life. It's part of life, the goodbyes. It makes you realize, you know, you cherish the good times. And I suggest to anyone that goes through a long grieving process that it is just completely okay to take as long as you need to take to grieve. And you need to just let it hit you out of nowhere. You know, you just suddenly, it just hits. It's weird. The weirdest times you'll start thinking about something and start feeling sad or wanting to start tearing up. And that's okay. That's part of it. That's part of life. Life is very difficult that way. But it also shows you how much you love someone, or, you know, the one that passed away, you love them so much because you're still thinking about them years later. Maybe you'll never stop thinking. You probably won't stop thinking about them. I'm a big fan of taking pictures. I'm not, interestingly enough, a big fan of recording people, because I know it puts people off when I record them. And I'd love to record them secretly that they don't know, but then that feels weird and that's creepy and that's actually illegal, I think. But pictures. I love the pictures. And I've looked at so many pictures of the late, great Basil the Boxer that I remember such great times. And that's what it is, right? Is trying to remember the good times as you go outside a cafe. Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Podcastro Valley. Maybe that's what I was thinking of last night. Long goodbyes. Maybe that was in my dreams, or my lack of dreams. So here's how you know it's Valentine's Day. Cheesy cards, boxes of chocolate. Ditch those cliche gifts and get your special woman something they'll really love. 22 things women actually want for Valentine's Day. A cheeky little something, a trendy little trinket. I don't know. I'm looking at this thing I got emailed from something called Oola with 2 O's. Oola. And basically, they're trying to sell me stuff. Delete. What? You know what? I just ask. Ask what they want. Ask what your Valentine's wants. And it's Valentine's, not Valentine. Like I knew this one guy couldn't. He was on the radio and he kept saying, Happy Valentine's Day. What? How old are you? So, GameStop. GameStop had a chaotic week. We talked about it a little bit earlier. And Robinhood, the app that lets you do stock purchases and trading, they stopped users from trading GameStop stocks and those other Reddit picks that were getting big and taking off, like AMC. And Nokia was another one. And BlackBerry and stuff that, like, wait, that's gone. So it was becoming a bubble. These stocks that should not have such crazy amounts of cost for their shares, it was like done. Stop it. Isn't that interesting? That's what happened this week. In financial news, you can tell all your financial friends that that's what I know. And they'll be so impressed. And I think did I mention this last week, that the podcast called Auto, it got banned by YouTube. It got age restricted. And that means that I cannot put it on my webpage because you won't be able to see it. It gets blocked. It looks terrible. So it's just weird. It goes to show. I don't know what they're doing, what YouTube bases it on. I didn't say anything about the election. I didn't say anything about any political stuff. Did I? Or maybe I did. I forget. Well, that's where it is anyway. They're very, very... Maybe the one that got over 700 download or plays called Locker. Maybe that was something that just the word locker got people interested. Hey, we're speaking of things that are interesting. Was I talking about that? Oh, real quick, Sammy Hagar. So he was talking about the song Best of Both Worlds. I want the best of both worlds, and honey, I don't care what it's something. Forget the words. I remember blasting that in the 80s. I just graduated high school. 5150 came out. Big Van Halen album had Why Can't This Be Love? And go higher, higher, straight up we'll fly. And Love Comes Walking In. And Black and Blue. And wait, no, is Black and Blue on that? No, that's on OU812. So Van Halen, 5150 was, they said goodbye to David Lee Roth. He wanted to go solo. He was having problems with Eddie Van Halen, who we lost last year, and that sucks. And oh yeah, my lovely lady friend and I, by the way, we were discussing how many rock stars had sons that got into the industry. Eddie Van Halen's son Wolfgang is in the music industry now and actually toured with him. You had Jacob Dylan, Bob Dylan's son, of course. You had Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley's son. Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son. Sean Lennon also got into music. George Harrison's son. So many siblings got into music. Male, that's males. How about females? You got Norah Jones, Ravi Shankar's daughter. You have... Oh, gosh. Who were we thinking? Well, you probably thought of 20 of them before I could say. Oh, Michael Jackson's daughter is actually playing music. I guess she plays at some coffee places, or was before the pandemic playing some coffee places in Santa Cruz. So one of the songs, so songwriting, maybe you should write a song. It's very cathartic. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith said, I'll write a song about you and I'll fix your butt. I cleaned that up quite a bit. When he said, that's what he said when if he gets mad at someone, he says, I just write a song about him and I feel much better. But yeah, well, this is what Sammy did. Best of Both Worlds. It was a great song. I thought anyway. A lot of people do. Maybe you do. It's a great rocker. He had the chords. He knew what the chords were, because Eddie pounded out the chords, had this instrumental basically, and had some words, but Sammy didn't like it. He went home, he took a shower, because whenever he hung out with Eddie Van Halen, this is very interesting, it's a fact, Sammy says this, every time he had to hang out with Eddie smoked so much, and Sammy didn't like all that cigarette smoke stuck to his clothes. So he would go home, wash his clothes, take a shower, just clean it out. And you know, the hair, he's still got gray hair. He's got great hair. It sticks to your hair, the cigarette smoke. He hated it, couldn't stand it. So he's taking a shower. In the shower is where he came up with the words for Best of Both Worlds. He said he actually got out of the shower to try and get like a piece of paper to write on, but he was still wet. The paper got all wet. But yeah, that's where it comes in handy to have in the shower one of those. I don't know what I was trying to think. Can you write with shampoo? I don't know. I haven't seen a bottle of shampoo in so long because I'm bald. Hey, look who's outside a cafe anyway. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Oh my God, that was a very interesting story. Thank you. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. Yes, it's true. People get very inspired and creative when they're in the shower. Yeah, don't people come up with ideas for inventions and stuff when they're taking a shower? There's something about it. The sound effects now kind of sound like a shower. Maybe you're being inspired. Whatever. Cafe, whatever. Thank you for listening to the show. Tell your friends about the show. Call me if you'd like to comment on the show. 336-MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast tries to be. Check out the podcast picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And there's a myriad of places to listen to the show. You can find all those places as well at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Take it away, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.